welcome to the Telegraph Journal and Rogers TV presentation of the local campaign debate for mayor for the City of Bathurst. I'm your moderator, Patricia Duffy, and we are live from the Rogers TV studio in Beresford, New Brunswick. Tonight's debate will focus on the municipal issues as the people select a new mayor for the City of Bathurst for the election on May 9th, 2016. The order of the candidates has been determined by a draw prior to coming to the stage. Tonight, joining me are the candidates Anne-Marie Gammon, Richard Barbeau, Hugh Comeau, and Paolo Fongemie. Next, please welcome our panelists for tonight, Jennifer Bishop from the Northern Light. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Thank you.
The rules of the debate are as follows. Each candidate will begin with a 30-second introduction opening statement. Then the first candidate will be posed a question from our panelists. The candidates will have 60 seconds to respond. Each of the remaining candidates will also have 60 seconds to provide a rebuttal response. After all candidates have commented, there will be a 2-minute moderated discussion on the question. All candidates are encouraged to participate in the discussion. At the end of the debate, each candidate will have 1 minute for their closing statements. Then closing statements will be delivered in reverse order of the opening statements. First, we begin with Anne-Marie Gammon and their opening comments.
Thank you, Patricia. Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Anne-Marie Gammon, and I'm a candidate for the position of mayor in the May 9th election. Ladies and gentlemen, I am asking for your support. I want to work with you and for you so that the decisions taken at council will help our community to prosper. I am a woman of vision, with a wide array of community experience at all levels, local, provincial, national level. My platform is holistic in nature. In order for our community to grow at all levels, the pieces of the action plan must join together like the pieces of a puzzle. Each sector of my platform will bring positive results to one of the other sectors.
And next we have opening comments from Richard Barbeau.
Thank you, Patricia. Hello, my name is Richard Barbeau, and I'm running for the position of mayor in Bathurst. My wife and I have been living in Bathurst now for almost 12 years. Her maiden name is Blanche Boudreau. She is from Bathurst. I have 2 boys, Michael and Matthew. Ladies and gentlemen, with strong leadership and honest partnerships, we will move this city forward and promote Bathurst is now open for business. As your mayor, there will be transparency, accountability, integrity, and teamwork at City Hall. I will give my 100% as mayor in order to engage our citizens who will determine the leadership and governance needed to produce tangible results which will create a greater impact for positive outcome for the citizens of this city.
Next we'll have opening comments from Hugh Comeau.
Thank you, Pat. My name is Hugh Comeau, and I'm vying for your support in the May 9th municipal election. I feel I have the experience in municipal politics, as I am the 16-year councillor. I also have a track record, good cooperation from the provincial government. I feel I have a proven track record as a business manager, 35 years in business banking, of which the last 20 were here in Bathurst. I also feel that I have a proven history of accomplishments in the city through council. I also feel that I have a good understanding of each department of the city, specifically in the financial affairs of municipal politics.
Next, we'll have the opening statement from Paolo Fongemie.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Paolo Fongemie. The reason for my candidacy as Mayor of Bathurst is I want to contribute a positive attitude for our beautiful city and lead with the elected councillors toward the growth of our municipality. I believe that with teamwork, we can achieve successes with the great assets that we have. I also understand the greatness of Bathurst and the opportunities to seize in order to lead Northern New Brunswick towards the future it deserves. Thank you.
And now we will go to the question portion of our debate, and I will go to Jennifer Bishop to give the first question to candidate Anne-Marie Gammon.
So the first question, what is your stance on immigration, and how would you balance helping immigrants in need while also serving the needs of Bathurst residents?
Immigration, I think immigration is a good item. I think it's a way to help our residents, help our city grow. And how would I do to balance it? Well, I think we're already balancing it quite well. We are working with the Multicultural Association and we are working with the provincial government in order to balance it so that the needs of our citizens are not overlooked while serving the needs of new immigrants.
And now for the first rebuttal, we'll call on candidate Richard Barbeau. Would you like the question?
No, I thought I was going to answer the same question, not a rebuttal right away. That's what we were told.
You'll have a minute to answer this question.
Okay. So I'm answering the same question. As far as immigration is concerned, it's definitely important for Bathurst because as we all know, as citizens pass away, our population is shrinking. And there was a study done that if you take an average age of 83 years old, there will be 4,500 individuals that will pass away in the area. So it's extremely important to have more and more immigrants who are willing to take positions that other residents are not willing to do. So I'm all for immigrants. I'm also for the refugees to come to Bathurst. I believe for these refugees, Bathurst will be paradise for them versus what they came out of Syria. So I'm definitely for refugees coming to Bathurst.
And next we'll have comments from candidate Hugh Comeau.
Thank you. I too welcome the immigrants. I've had nothing but good experience in the past. For the past 6 years, I've actually worked with quite a few of them through the hotel system. I noticed that they're extremely hardworking. They have a demand for excellence, and I feel that they can only bring better things to the City of Bathurst. And I think with them, the city will grow. I think it's very important to continue to support them and to welcome them all here.
And now for comments from candidate Paolo Fongemie.
Immigration contributes to enrich our community with their culture and experience. We are very fortunate in the Chala region to have a strong multicultural association that promotes cultural diversity. Also, in our region, we struggle with a declining population. Immigration is an opportunity to reverse that trend. Being a member of the steering committee for the Syrian refugees, in balancing in our population, we have a generous population. We have a hospital population, and with the doing that volunteer work on the Saturday where we collected furniture and clothing, the response from the community was overwhelming. And I think our community is looking towards a positive aspect to immigration, and it brings a richness to our community. Thank you.
Now I'll invite the candidates to jump in, rebut the answers or add more to their answers that they provided. So go ahead, you'll have 2 minutes.
Well, I think that immigration is an important component to our economic growth. Many of the immigrants, I do all of the people that come here for a visit, and a lot of them want to go into small and medium-sized business. And I think small and medium-sized business is the way to go. So I think that they can contribute a lot to this development.
And
I will add also to Mrs. Gammon comments that we have a lot of companies in our region that don't have a succession plan. And we look at in the last year, immigration helped to some of the owners to able to retire or to sell their business to new immigrants. We would just like to look at the different auberges in our region, and that's a way to develop our economy also.
I don't think there's any question that we can say anything but favorable comments towards the immigration people. They work hard, like I said, and I think it's extremely important to identify, as Mr. Fongemie stated, the companies who are being taken over or purchased by immigrants to help them with this succession plan. I know our economic development officer, Mr. Tidd, from the past, has done a terrific job on that, and I've heard comments from the various groups of just how good he has done.
now we have about 40 seconds left, so any of you could jump in, and Mr. Barbeau, if you have some comments.
I would like to add that the federal government has set the example in allowing bringing 25,000 immigrants to Canada. So that sets the stage for each province to take a responsibility, and if they can handle so many immigrants, that definitely will help each province. So they've went forward and set the example, so I'm all for it.
And now we'll have the second question from Jennifer Bishop from the Northern Light going to Richard Barbeau.
So Bathurst will need to spend millions of dollars in the next few years to fix aging infrastructure, such as roads and underground piping. What is your plan to address these needs while maintaining services and not raising taxes?
Well, let's put it this way. If we're going to continue surviving the way we are, we have to grow our economy. If we don't grow our economy, it's going to get worse and worse. And the way to do it is to bring manufacturers to Bathurst. My intention is to meet with the Canadian Manufacturers Association, the New Brunswick Manufacturers Association, PMAC, which is a pharmaceutical association, and discuss with them in terms of what we can do together in Bathurst. With a tax-free zone, we can invite them to come here. That's what companies are looking for, tax-free zones. By growing our economy, which in turn will help us in terms of fixing our roads and growing our economy.
And now we'll have comments from Candidate Hugh Comeau.
Yes, I believe the city has done an extremely good job in the past of improving our infrastructure. We've used a lot of our money that comes down from Fredericton just to do that. Prime example is downtown city. All the side streets, St. John, and those streets have been further improved through our infrastructure program that the city has implemented on. It's extremely important. I don't myself see a tax-free zone having anything benefit. We've tried that and it's not going to work. We've tried that already through the province and it's just, I don't believe it'll work.
And now comments from Candidate Paolo Fongemie.
Well, I think first we need to review how we do things, and with there was an efficiency committee that was placed from the previous council, and I think that was a good decision. It involved citizens, it involved city management, it involved councillors to find ways to reduce our expenses. And there's other ways also to look at the single source procurement, review how we manage maybe overtime with non-essential services, how we spending thresholds. Now this will help us to reduce our expenses and therefore look at our infrastructure, have a priority in our infrastructure, and make better decisions how we can better service our different roads or our aging water system. We do need to look at economic development also. We need to increase that tax base, and there's a lot of companies that I'm not sure we're close to them, we're not listening to their concerns, and how can we help their growth?
And now we'll go to comments from Candidate Anne-Marie Gammon.
Thank you. The city has done quite a good job. Our present city engineer has been working very hard to make sure that we follow the aging infrastructure and we try to get the gas tax money. Federal government in the last election promised monies for aging infrastructure. So you need to do that, but you need to complement that with economic development and implementing our strategic plan, because part of our strategic plan is to fix the aging infrastructure.
Now, because this question is very important, economic development is something that everyone's discussing in the community. This open debate will be 3 minutes, so feel free to start with your comments. It's an open
Well,
discussion.
I'd like to rebuttal Mr. Comeau. Mr. Comeau made a comment that they tried a tax-free zone. I'd like to know the year they tried it, because I don't believe it's ever been tried, because normally tax-free zones are handled by the provinces, and unfortunately Bathurst did not have an individual to really go forward with a tax-free zone. And I believe that we can get success with this. There's no ifs or doubt about it. And let me tell you, I believe we'll get a lot more success with that than reducing our taxes. When in reality, our population is shrinking, our economy is shrinking, our building permits are shrinking. I believe Mr. Comeau is dreaming in color when he's saying that he's going to reduce taxes.
Anyone else is invited to jump in?
Yes, I would like to jump in. I think that with the economic development is one of the most important components. I talk about the implementation of the strategic plan, but there's also the revitalization of the municipal plan. We need to go to that municipal plan, look at it, and how we can improve it so that we can better serve our business and so that we can encourage. And with the hiring of the economic development officer, with the hiring of the communication person, these things will help us to increase our tax base and to bring new businesses into town.
Pat, I've spoken to Fredericton specifically on this tax-free zone, and the response I get is, well, okay, tax-free zone, well, what are the criteria for it? What exactly does the city have to in order to be qualified for a tax-free zone? Does Mayor Miramichi get it? Does Fredericton get it? Who gets it? It's just not going to happen. And if anybody's dreaming in Technicolor, it's Mr. Barbeau, if he thinks we're going to have a tax-free zone. And as far as the economic development is concerned, that's an absolute necessity. If we don't get it going, our tax dollars are going to continue to shrink, and unless we shrink our tax rate, we're going to lose a lot more people.
And tax-free zone is kind of a buzzword, right? Does the citizen really don't have another burden on their shoulders of assuming, a loss of revenues, loss of opportunities because we just like Mr. Comeau said, we place a tax-free zone with no rules at all, and it's kind of a smokescreen. So I'm not sure that's really a serious proposal.
Can I rebuttal
agree.
this?
You can all
I'd
jump
love to
in.
rebuttal this.
I agree with the tax-free zone. I think we have to be very, very careful because we're going to be reducing some revenues to the city. So by reducing revenues to the city, we need to find a way to offset that loss and to increase it in another way. So I think that a tax-free zone, if you're going to do that, you need to have rules and regulation, and you need to make it that it's fair for everybody, not only the people who are coming in, but also for the citizens.
And now we're going to be going to our third question of the night, and it will be, the rebuttal time is now past. We have a question going to candidate Hugh Comeau from Jennifer Bishop from the Northern Light.
The City of Bathurst has fumbled in the past when it comes to managing the former mill site. Now there's a developer on board, and the city has just contributed more than $13,000 towards a study on cleaning up the site. How would you ensure the property is developed properly without the taxpayer being on the hook for additional costs?
Thanks for the question. I think the City of Bathurst has done the proper thing. We have said to the developer, as well as to the person who's putting the plan together, we've insisted that that document be owned by the City of Bathurst as well as the developer. So therefore, we can use this document in the future to perhaps give it to whoever else is going to make this thing happen. I'm not convinced that it's going to happen, certainly not next year. The plan itself is a $200,000 project, 170 some odd, and this is going to be a huge, huge burden on somebody. And I can assure you that it will not be a burden on the taxpayer. If anybody, the province is going to have to step up, as they did to find this developer. Now, is the developer going to come through with what he's proposing? I certainly hope so, but I have some serious doubts and concerns as to the project going forward.
Now we will have comments from candidate Paolo Fongemie.
I agree with Mr. Comeau with the decision that the city has taken recently about funding a partial of that environmental study will help us understand better the contamination of the sites and how to address the different hotspots. And I think it's the first step of establishing maybe a working relationship with the developer. It is a private transaction. So I would assure that that if there's recommendation on the environmental side, that all the departments in the government are following these recommendations. I would also encourage the developer to have a good communication plan regards to the project. We have high expectation and we cannot be deceived again. But I think it's being transparent and being rigorous with the facts that we'll be working with the developer.
And now we'll have comments from candidate Anne-Marie Gammon.
Thank you. I go by there every day, so that mill site is really an eyesore for me. And I'm really pleased that the province stepped up to the issue and that made sure that this person here was able to acquire this property. Now there's a misconnection there within the community. That money is going to pay, the $13,000 is going to pay for part of that report. That's not very much to pay for a report that's going to tell us what needs to be done and how it needs to be done and how long is it going to take. Right now, they have several reports that were done in the last 5 years, and what happens is that you have to put those reports together, and this is what they're going to do, and they're also going to check the site. Now remember, FCM, which is the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, is going to put in 50%, and the developer will have to put in 40%. So the tax burden is not going to be that heavy on the city at this point.
Now we're going to go to comments from candidate Richard Barbeau.
Thank you very much. The fact that the province is behind Mr. Robichaud, they have confidence in him. I believe the province did their homework, and they are confident that Mr. Robichaud can have a success with this. We're only going to know if we try it. If we don't try it, we'll never know. I made a comment at a council meeting that that $13,700 that we voted on to give to Mr. Robichaud will not go to Mr. Robichaud, but to Roy Consultant. He will not touch the money. So the citizens can be confident that he will not get his hands on it. And then Roy Consultant will do the necessary legwork to find out how contaminated it is. And from there, we'll have a better picture whether it's going to be successful or not. But in the meantime, let's be positive. Let's not be negative.
Well,
now we've had the comments. We're going to have a 3-minute debate on this issue and go ahead and take this discussion to new lengths.
That's interesting. In one way, Mr. Barbeau, you say that the government has done their homework. In another way, I understand, I interpret that through your message that you don't have a full confidence in Mr. Robichaud because he's not going to have the money. The money will go directly to Roy Consultant. So do you trust in the project or do you?
But not only that, I mean, I think the point has to be made that at the council meeting, 2 council meetings ago, I had Mr. Robichaud. I asked him a specific question. I asked him, did you come here and have you provided the city with financials? Have you provided the city with your net worth? What have you provided the city in order for us to back you? The response was, I have no net worth. It's not me. It's my partners. It's my people who are going to finance me. My next comment was, well, what happens if these people decide to fly, go, decide not to spend their money here, decide that you get an argument, they die, whatever the case may be. So it's going to be extremely difficult, very interesting to ensure that we follow through with every single step to its minute detail. We have to make sure that the citizens of Bathurst are not on the hook for any more money.
I agree with what Mr. Comeau is saying. We have to make sure that the citizens are not on the hook. But when the city, I was sitting on that committee when the city was looking at cleaning it up itself, and it was a lot more than $13,000. Now we're going to be paying $13,000 and have access to a report which will give us what it is up to date, what's happening up to date, and what needs to be done to follow up. But the provincial government is there, and I'm hoping that they're going to continue to be there. They did their work somewhat. They did their work. They worked at all the issues. They've been there 2 years. But you must remember, it's the first government since the mills closed that wanted to do something positive. So I think we have to look at this as a positive step and see what's going to happen and to support it into the measure that we can, with the understanding that the citizens of Bathurst will not be held responsible for the debt of cleaning up that property.
But the due diligence that the province would have done for the proponents of this site, I don't understand what due diligence was done. The gentleman told us he has no net worth, and the other people have not guaranteed. They've not put any financial money up front. They haven't done anything. I'm very skeptical on that.
I'd like to make a comment on that. You know, it's very easy to downgrade an individual who's trying to clean the property.
I'm not downgrading anybody.
Let's go back a few years. Mr. Comeau was on council when they voted to give a permit to green investment, and it was totally a mess. Now Mr. Comeau is trying to cover himself up because he was the one that voted with the others to give them a permit. It was badly done. A businessman would have said, you give him a permit for one little section and then a building permit for another little section.
So we have the 4th question coming up from Jennifer Bishop from the Northern Light, and the 4th question will be going to candidate Paolo Fongemie.
Some say green energy is the wave of the future and could provide much needed employment in Bathurst. Do you think Bathurst can tap into the green energy sector, and what is your plan to do so?
Well, definitely. It is an emerging sector. We're very fortunate to be access to natural resources, the tides, the forestry. I find it kind of sad that we lose a lot of opportunities with the residue of all the forestry operating. And there's projects that are going on right now to use those residues to be able to heat infrastructure. And I think that sometimes to help emerging technologies, emerging new ways of doing things, I think institutions can play a role. I think the hospital can play a role, the municipality can play a role, the college can play a role, all those institutions to use all those renewable energies for their heating, for their lighting, for their resources. So it brings down maybe the costs for the residentials to try that types of different energies.
And now we'll go for comments from candidate Anne-Marie Gammon.
Thank you very much. Green energy, I think, is going to be part of our future economy, because from green energy, there'll be a lot of small and medium-sized enterprises that will develop, and people can work from home. This is how one of the components of how we can bring our young people back home, because they'll be able to work from home, a lot of green energy. Today I was speaking with Bathurst Sustainable Development to see what can be actually done. Now, one of the things that we cannot forget is that when Prime Minister Trudeau came back from Paris, he promised a lot of money. And the consultant that we have presently hired with the climate change adaptation plan, she said that we need to stay close to what's happening, and that we'll be able to get some funding to be able to develop a lot of green energy initiatives and a lot of energy enterprises, whereas our young people can come back home and stay home and develop and bring their families here. This is what we're trying to do. All of what we're trying to do is to create a...
and now we'll be going for comments from candidate Richard Barbeau.
Thank you, Patricia. We have a beautiful province and a beautiful city. I agree 100%. Green energy is very important, but a lot of work needs to be done. We need to look at consulting in terms exactly what is needed and what needs to be accomplished. We can talk about this till we get green in the face, but in the meantime, we have a bigger problem in the Bathurst area. We need to grow our economy, and we need to create jobs for our youth so that our youth do not leave the province and go someplace else.
And now we'll go to comments from candidate Hugh Comeau.
Thank you. Many times we've had people come to us. I think of two offhand. One is a gentleman who I'm sure Mr. Robichaud will be speaking with, but they've requested that they install these wind turbines. And the most logical place and the best fit for them when they spoke to us was on the mill site. That's a form of energy there. We've also had a gentleman who came to speak to us about a huge, it was a machine, I forget the name of it, perhaps Councillor Duffy can help me out here, but it was a machine, it was a vat that would take all of the refuge and it would convert it into, I think it was 95% back into energy. Those are the types of things that we have to look after, and I agree with the other candidates, that's what we have to do.
All right, now we will have a 3-minute rebuttal time for this question as well. Jump in, it is an open rebuttal debate.
Well, I think that green energy is one of the most important components of what's going to be our future here in Bathurst. I really and truly believe that, and especially with the monies that will be coming from the federal government, we'll be able to do a lot of studies like what Councillor Barbeau wants. We'll be able to do the studies and find out what could really be done and how we could achieve it. This morning when I was speaking with Brenda Kelly from Bathurst Sustainable Development, what she's going to do is she's going to make a list of what's been done in the past. Bathurst is very advanced, more advanced than most of the cities in New Brunswick and more advanced than many of the cities in Canada with regards to what we've done with regards to green energy. So I think that we could use green energy project to grow our economy and to grow with small and medium-sized business. It's been proven by research that small and medium-sized business are the energies of the future, are the not the energies, I'm sorry, are the starting point of the future with regards to our energy. They'll be able to stimulate the economy and to make it grow. So I strongly believe in that.
I would add also that, I meet young adults every day, and some have great ideas. Renewable energy is one. I have this fella that he's dreaming of starting a tiny home business mixed with renewable energies, which would bring a startup. We have, I think there's a trend that comes in Canada. It's city agriculture. We have a lot of green space in our city boundaries. And why not open also these green spaces for initiative for city agriculture, aquaponics. There's a lot of opportunities, and I think our youth are challenging us to do things differently.
I think Mr. Fongemie is absolutely correct. I think we have to leave it to the youth to start the ideas, and we can finish it through City Council if we have to. There are various incentives that we can provide for anybody who wants to start up a business. And if they're looking at starting up a business in the energy sector, such as what we've been talking about, I think there's nothing else but the city can do is to help them out.
I would just like to add that in my platform, we will be working closely with the youths and advisory committees. Our youths are extremely bright, and I'm positive that there's going to be some great ideas coming out of that committee. And there's no doubt green energy will be part of it, but there'll be many other facets that will be coming out of this committee. So we have to make sure that we don't just target one area, but there's a lot of other areas that we need to look at.
Green energy is a very important component, but the youth want to get involved. I was approached by some youth from the 2 high school, and they want to get involved and they want to be part of it. So I think that it's important that we include the youth in all projects of economic development, whether it be green energy or something else that we decide on.
And now we have our next question coming up, and we are going to start the question with Councillor Anne-Marie Gammon, and it will be by Jennifer Bishop from the Northern Light.
The recently announced tuition access bursary by the provincial Liberal government has come under fire, with some saying it's poorly designed policy that will be paid for by a middle-class tax hike. What are your thoughts on this policy and how it affects Bathurst residents?
Well, I think that this policy in theory is very good. I think it's going to help low-income families, single parents, and whatnot, to be able to give their child to be able to help their child get a good post-secondary education. And I think that it will have good spin-off in the long run. However, I think that more thought has to be given to how it's going to be addressed, this whole issue. Because if you make $59,200 and your child can get it, and if you make $60,100 and your child's not going to get it, you have to have either perhaps a way of doing it by percentage, or by saying how it's going to go so that it's fair for everybody. And I think that this is going to benefit us greatly, because at the community college, with students getting their university or their post-secondary education done, it would encourage them to go. We have an excellent community college here in this area, in the trades and in all domains, in trades and in IT and whatnot. This college is second to none right across Canada. So I think that this will help increase the economy of the area.
And now we will go to comments from Councillor Candidate Richard Barbeau.
Thank you very much. I am all for the tuition fee to help the lower income and middle class families. This will give them an opportunity to go to university, graduate, and hopefully get a great job. There's no doubt that there's always going to be some caveats. No matter what system you put in place, it's never going to be perfect. And we're always trying to find loopholes in that to bring it down. But we've got to realize that the government, whether it's provincial government or federal government, is doing their best. And the fact that they've done this, I'm all for it.
And now we'll go to comments from Candidate Hugh Comeau.
I agree. I think the threshold of $60,000 is reasonable, but I think it should be prorated. I believe that someone making $61,000 should not be left out in the cold because of it. I speak to so many young people these days with student loans, and it tears them apart. They come out of university with a huge debt, and they just can't afford to live, basically. The financial institutions insist on getting their money back, obviously, but they just can't get a job that pays them enough these days, certainly around here until we fix that problem, to pay back their debt. So the fact that we're looking at this $60,000, I think is very, very positive. I think the provincial government is going to fix whatever they have to fix to make it right.
And now we'll have comments from candidate Paolo Fongemie.
It is a good question. It's something that it touches me personally. There's still some details to be specified, like other candidates specified on the thresholds, but it will help. Unfortunately, there's too many students that leave during the year, and because they cannot have the financial means to survive. But there's other expenses also. It's a good start. But for universal access, for a student that stays away, that tuition fee is about 30%. How can we help the single moms? How can we help the adults come back to study? It's a great step. I think what most critics said, it was a great step towards future steps. But I think it is very positive for our region.
And now we'll go to an open debate, and this one will be for 2 minutes.
Well, I think that this project is excellent. I also like the idea of the other ones that talked about pro rata and single parents. It's a good plan for single parents, whether it be single mothers or single fathers or other adults that want to return. So it's got to be, the details have got to be looked at. And it's not that we're negative. I think it's a great idea. It's a great idea to help young families, to help young people, and to help anybody who wants to get an education. So I'm strongly in favor of it. And I'm strongly in favor of it because we have an educational institution in our area which will be able to increase the number of students that are coming to this area to study.
I would just add that it's a first step. And like anything else, the first step is small, and hopefully then they'll enlarge it. But the question also is, where you look at a gradual scale, where do you draw the line? Is it 61? Is it 62? Is it 70? That's a tough question. We really don't know. So that's why the government has made a decision, and we'll see if they're going to stick by it or not.
Hopefully with the decision, and I'm sure the government is going to fix it. They'll have it down pat before we know it. There'll be so many people going to them to explain their problems, and they'll work it out. I also feel that hopefully with this increase in assistance, we perhaps may get our nursing program back here in Bathurst. There's lots of people want to go there. And I think it's important that's the reason why I'm looking for the mayor's job. I want to bring the students, I want to leave them here, let them go to university here. Let the students go take the nursing program here.
I also think it's a great idea, and I think we need more post-secondary education in French in this area, in English in this area. So I think that this might be a good way to encourage UNB or other colleges to have a campus.
We're
I think
out of
education
time, I'm sorry, on
is
this
very important.
question.
Okay.
You'll have an opportunity
Thank you.
for other comments. Now we have another question, and it will be directed to candidate Richard Barbeau from Jennifer Bishop from the Northern Light.
When it comes to jobs, what sector does Bathurst have the potential to tap into the most, and how would you lead that push?
Whoa, that's a big question, no doubt about it. I mean, it's quite diversified. I mean, whatever way you look at it, we need jobs. We need to bring jobs to Bathurst. And like I said earlier, with a tax-free zone, we can accommodate manufacturers. And some people don't know this, but unfortunately, the province promotes tax-free zones. So I just want to reiterate that it will cost the citizens of Bathurst not a penny. The tax-free zone will be, if a company comes to Bathurst, let's take as an example WestJet, where they created 400 jobs in Moncton. Just imagine, we'll give them 10, 15 years of no taxes. And I'm positive that the province will also allow it, because the province wants each city to be independent on their own. So they will be all for it. And so we need to create jobs, more and more jobs, as many jobs as possible. And that's what I want to do when I become mayor. As a leader, I will be aggressive when it's necessary.
And now we're going to go to comments from candidate Hugh Comeau.
Thank you. Well, to answer the question, it's, in my opinion, it's certainly welding. I mean, we have a second to none welding course here in Bathurst. that started 4 or 5 years ago, I believe it is. Excellent people coming out of that course. As well as look at the mining and the mill industry we've had here. We've had the largest lead zinc mine in the world for 35, 40 years. We should be able to tap into that industry. Again, through education. Our young would go to these various courses and look what they come out with. I mean, miners second to none in Bathurst. Welders now second to none. People are looking to pick up these kids that are coming out of the university, out of our community colleges, and they're picking them up fast because they're trained well and they do good jobs.
I agree with the councillor.
This is not the debate portion, it's the questions. So
Okay,
we're going to be
sorry.
going to candidate Paolo Fongemie for comments.
Well, we have around 200 companies that don't have a succession plan. This is a great opportunity for our youth either to come back or to stay and to be mentored with this experienced leaders that when they'll retire, their business will thrive and survive. We have 850 businesses in our region. Do we listen to their need? Do we help them to grow? Imagine if each one of those businesses were to add an extra job, part-time, full-time, minimum wage or wage with benefits. That would be 850 jobs in our regions. But we need also to align our strategies with the province strategies. If you look, the last job announcement the province did, it's manufacturing, it's a lot in IT, it's a little bit in natural resources. Yeah. We need to align our strategies with the province strategies so it goes together for our growth of our city.
And now we'll have comments from candidate Anne-Marie Gammon.
Okay, thank you. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to discuss this because I've been following what's been happening at our community college over the years. And with regards to trades, we are one of the best college that can provide that trade. And I think that we need to develop our trade. What I particularly like is what the minister announced in Bathurst a little while back, is that to develop a mining academy where we could use some of the experience that's already in the area to be able to train young men who want to work in mines and whatnot. And we have some mines right in our region that could be made. Now, the Chamber of Commerce is starting a new program that's called the Hive, and that's for anybody who wants to start a business. So it's going to help the young people who need to go or who want to go to start a business, and for the companies, the 850 companies that don't have a succession plan. That will help the young people who want to go into business to be able to start on a good foot.
For this question, we are going to have a 2-minute and 30-second rebuttal time, so go ahead, it's an open debate.
Okay, we're talking about education here. We're not talking about tax-free zones. We're talking about education. And I think, again, we've got companies in Bathurst that fabricate rubber on metal. They make tank wheels. There's absolutely no reason why we can't have that industry grow in Bathurst. And succession plan is another prime example. Our Mr. Tidd did an excellent job on that. He went around to all the businesses in his macro of the businesses, not micro, but he did a macro job. He did an excellent job at it. And I think there's a lot of room there. But I still contend that the mining industry was so strong, there's got to be some knowledge available to the rest of Canada in that industry, as well as, again, through our community college, the welding program.
Here's one of the problems that we have in Bathurst, and putting is on the wall right now. We're concentrating, I keep hearing mining, mining, mining. We have one mine, Caribou Mine, and let me tell you, I'm very familiar in terms of what the mineral prices are at right now, and they are extremely low. If they continue being this low, Caribou Mines will close their door. We need to concentrate on other areas. That's why I said earlier, manufacturing, other areas beside mining. We have a great area, there's resources all over the place. But if we don't get jobs in Bathurst, we're not going to get anywhere. So we need to look at other areas besides just mining.
There's great opportunities in our province. There's natural resource development opportunities where the projects are maybe in southern of the province, but our local companies can have contract to service those companies. Mm-hmm. Like some of the local companies that had contracts with Potash Mine. Yeah. There's also the shipyard project in Halifax and in St. John. And Irving is looking, they're making a lot of ads in the newspaper and in the television. They need thousands of employees. Well, why can we not subcontract those opportunities in our region. We have something to offer. We have a very skillful workforce, and it's probably our greatest asset in our region. It's the people with the skills.
I
I'm not
agree
talking about mining. I'm talking about teaching people how to mine.
That's
I'm
right.
talking about education. I hope the press doesn't put down that the Caribou mine is going to close in a couple of days, because it's not. I assure you it's not.
Yeah.
But it's
not what I
the
said.
educational part of mining. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the actual mining here in Bathurst. Mining is all around the world. And if we have the ability to teach these young people how to mine, those that want to mine, then we should be able to come to Bathurst, and we should have that education available to them.
I agree. I agree that that's a very important component. I call it a mining academy. You can call it what you want, but it's to teach the children, the young adults, not only the children, but even some older adults who want to retrain for a trade or retrain for something. The mining academy is something that I feel is very, very important, and I also feel that the Hive is going to be something that's going to really help develop the economy, because we're going to train young people to become entrepreneurs.
And
That's
it
what,
was an interesting discussion, and we did add a bit more time, but we are out of time on that question. So we are going to go to our last question of the night, and we are going to start with Candidate Hugh Comeau, and the question is going to be from Jennifer Bishop from the Northern Light.
Tourism has been identified as a key factor in boosting the local economy. Name specific tourism projects you would help facilitate.
Well, I think that there's certainly the RV system, all aspects of RVs, not only the four-wheelers that we want to bring through the city, specifically the four-wheelers. I think that there's also the campers. There's all kinds of new campgrounds coming up. A new one that opened up just down on Yellowhall Drive that had been closed for many years. All you hear around town is the buzz that they're now open for business. I also feel that the ability, as council has started, to allow these four-wheelers to come into the City of Bathurst and go through the City of Bathurst to continue their trail. We'll call it a trail from Caracat to Quebec. If we can continue with that as a city and allow them access through our system, I think that's probably where the most important should go on.
And now we'll have comments from Candidate Paolo Fongemie.
We have great opportunities in tourism. Like a good friend of mine said, we're sitting on a gold mine with the beaches, the rivers, the mountains, the fields, the trails, and new initiatives. We had a great boot camp last year. We had a biker bash. We had the El Vino with the Chamber of Commerce. These are all little tourism activities. There's also the crash ice. There's the trail system, and we're very lucky because we have a strong volunteer base. Our citizens are hardworking people, and they want to work to better our community. And with the group, with the green trails, the non-motorized trails, and the motorized, I think it's a great decision the City Council did for the ATVs to be able to come into town. And it's a first step in developing that different sport. But it's a great opportunity. We just need to market it. We have to sell our region as a one-stop shop for the tourism, that it's easy to them to find the information.
And now we'll go to comments from Candidate Anne-Marie Gammon.
Thank you very much. While I agree with Mr. Fongemie's thoughts that all of these are good, I think if we're going to look in sectors, we could look at sports tourism. There was already a presentation made to City Council with regards to sports tourism, how Bathurst could become the heart of offering high-level workshops for athletes so that they can compete more and bring in athletes from all over the world to attend these sports workshops. Cultural tourism. We have a Casey Irving Center that culturally has the best sound in anywhere in the province for a recreational center. So I think that we have a great cultural group in the city. And yes, our citizens are working hard. There's 100 volunteers organization in the city. If once we get a strategic plan in place and we get all of these people to put all of their energy together, I think that it's going to be great. And tourism activities in general, whatever, we have to, with a communication officer, we would be able to improve.
And now we will go to comments from Candidate Richard Barbeau.
thank you, Pat. I remember 2 months in council, I said we need to allow four-wheelers in Bathurst. Finally, it's being done, and hopefully down the road we allow them to come on other roads also. They had a conference not that long ago. Over 1,500 four-wheelers came to the Beresford area. Just imagine how great that would be for the economy of Bathurst. So we need to think forward. We need to think outside the box. And if you look at my platform, our city has an exceptional tourism potential and would benefit greatly from further developing it in accordance with a regional plan. We need to target and identify which areas we are going to promote tourism. I want to bring so many tourists to Bathurst that people will say we have enough tourists. And that's a good problem to have.
And now we'll go to comments from Candidate Hugh.
I think it's extremely important to follow up on Mr. Fongemie's comment on the volunteers. We had the Canada Games here, for God's sake. I mean, the amount of volunteers needed for that was, it was in the thousands, and we had no problem whatsoever getting it. So the crash site's another prime example. Volunteers to do that. The boot camp, volunteers. Everything takes volunteers, and the Bathurst has that. I believe that we have the ability with, again, our beaches, the outdoors, the hunting, the fishing, everything that Bathurst is known for in the past can certainly be exploited and go forward with the same thing. Again, moving forward with experience.
So just keep in mind this is the open debate, so by all means jump in at any time.
So I'll continue then. No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think we're all on the same page about the importance of tourism and the strength of our volunteers and having different ideas and the creativity of our citizens. Having the moose run. Well, you know, what's an animal symbolic of our region? A moose. So we have a lot of opportunities to market it. I think we need to focus as a region to be more strategic and have a one-stop shop, so when the tourist comes in, it's easy with one click to have all the information. We have this little challenge, but I think we have great people in our region that are working to resolve that challenge.
I think we also have to look at a regional plan. Councillor Barbeau talked about it a little bit. The Regional Service Commission has put together a committee to study a regional plan and see how the region can develop tourism so that we can work together. I think we have to stop working in isolation, and we have to work together to be able to better benefit any of these initiatives that come on. I do the exploratory visits from people that come in that want to live in Bathurst. I met 2 this week, 2 last week, 2 groups, and really and truly, the people that come and they're so impressed with Bathurst and the way we host them, the way we talk with them.
And now we are all done with this part of the rebuttal. I want to thank Jennifer Bishop from the Northern Light for her questions tonight. We are going to go to the closing statements, and this time we are going to start with Candidate Paolo Fongemie.
Well, thank you, Pat. Raised in Bathurst, married with my wife 20 years, 2 great children. I do have a day job. I'm an administrator of one of the largest employer of the region. I'm very involved in my community. And I want to just take a couple of seconds to address the whole debate, part-time and full-time. People ask me if you have a meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning, which one you'll go? I'll go to the meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning. There's double book meetings. That's why we have a deputy mayor. This is why we have councillors. So with today's technology, notification, I live in a 24/7 world. There's nothing as a part-time of something, somewhat, and somewhere. So I understand the greatness of Bathurst, like I said at the beginning of my statement, and the opportunities to seize in order to lead Northern New Brunswick towards the future it deserves. And I want to thank everyone for this great evening.
And now we'll go to closing statements from Candidate Hugh.
Thank you. Again, thank you for putting this together. Again, I feel moving Bathurst forward with experience. I've been on council. I've been acting mayor. I've been deputy mayor. I've chaired many a committee. I've had experience in the banking industry for 35 years. I've helped a lot of businesses grow. I think I can continue to do that. And I also feel that the economic development is one of the most important things we have to talk about. I think it's all number 1 on our agenda. If I was to become mayor, the first thing I'll do is bring my councillors in and ask them, what exactly is your platform? What was your platform? And I guarantee you it's going to be economic development. And we're all going to work towards an end on obtaining something in the economic development field. I also feel that our taxes are extremely high. We have to reduce those. We're the second highest in the province. And I also think that we have to make sure that the people who retire here
Thank you, Candidate
stay here.
Comeau. We'll now go to closing statements from Candidate Richard Barbeau.
Thank you very much, Pat. Jennifer, thank you, and thank you to Rogers. Ladies and gentlemen, the next 4 years will be critical for Bathurst. We have a Liberal government in Fredericton with 2 cabinet ministers from the Bathurst area. We have a Liberal government in Ottawa with a member of Parliament from the Chaleur region. The only piece of the puzzle that we're missing is a business leader with over 35 years of business experience, a leader that is not afraid to say yes or no when necessary, a leader who is not afraid to be aggressive at the appropriate time, a leader who will not compromise his integrity for any conflict of interest. And this city will not become a retirement center if I can help it, and I definitely will. Ladies and gentlemen, do we want change for the sake of change, or do we want real change on May the 9th? Vote for real change, vote for me, Richard Barbeau, and help shape the future of our city. Thank you very much.
And now we'll go to the last closing statement from Candidate Anne-Marie Gammon.
Thank you. I also want to thank everybody for working very hard to put this together. I think that this is a very important item. Many of the citizens of our area have asked for that, so I think that's really great. I think that the next 4 years is going to be a transformational era where we're going to have to look at things differently and see how we can think out of the box and bring different activities, different jobs or whatever to our area. I have also worked on several committees. I've worked local, national, and provincial. I've been president. When I was president of the New Brunswick Special Olympics, I brought the first national Special Olympics Winter Games to New Brunswick. Unfortunately, at that time, we didn't have the infrastructure we have now, so it went to Edmundston. But I've worked with pay equity, I've worked with seniors, I've worked with, and on a lot of local committees, local committees. We need to create teamwork. We need to be able to create the ideology of a team.
And now we are all done with closing statements. First of all, I'd like to thank the candidates for being here, Jennifer Bishop for being here. Thank you, the citizens, for watching tonight. Please remember, on Monday, May 9th, get out and vote. For your information on scheduling of these debates, please visit www.rogerstv.com. If you need information on casting your vote, check out www.electionsnewbrunswick.ca.